मीरारविन्दाय विद्महे अतिमानसाय धीमहि तन्नो ज्योतिः प्रचोदयात्। वसुदेवं सुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दम् कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। Krishnam Vande Jagadguru. Yes. Can someone recollect something that we saw yesterday? We'll have to form the link to move ahead. Yes, anything that you can recollect. Yes, please. Anybody. We form the link and then we can move ahead. So until the link is established, I will have to wait. So anybody, any point that we
Yesterday we saw who Sri Aurobindo was, what he
right.
did, and like what was his connection to divine. So that's what we
Okay.
saw, and we also saw about something about his Vedantas.
Okay. Yes, Joyji. So we got a preliminary introduction to Sri Aurobindo. Preliminary because I don't think there's anybody in the world who can actually introduce Sri Aurobindo. He is so vast. Even writing a biography is an impossible task. Sri Aurobindo himself had said that nobody except himself will be able to write about his life because there are so many dimensions. We saw Sri Aurobindo as a poet, as a revolutionary, as a yogi, and now we are going to look at him as a Vedantic Rishi who has written a beautiful Vedantic text, which was later called the Sri Aurobindo's Upanishad. So we also saw some preliminary introduction to what the Upanishads are. So we just also saw what is the aim or what is the crux of the Upanishad. It leads us to a particular knowledge, isn't it? What is that knowledge called? Anybody?
I didn't get what you say.
What is the objective of every Upanishad? Because we saw different types of Upanishads are there. They move in different ways. Some move like a story, some move like a beautiful poem, some are deep and vast in philosophy, some have questions. So, what is the objective that way of the Upanishad?
How to make life divine, the different
Okay, that is
methods.
the consequence. That is the consequence of attaining that objective. So, but that objective is told by some word, means
To
a
one,
Sanskrit word.
to know yourself.
Okay, somebody has said
Yeah.
to know yourself. All right. Yes, T?
Atmagyan.
Yes. Anybody else would like to add? What
To
is that?
To know the
To know the reality. But what is that reality called if you want to use one word in Sanskrit? Like X,
Atmagyan.
the inner
Atma.
self.
Okay, Atmagyan, inner self. These are all right words. Can we not use the word Brahman?
Yes.
Yes, we can also say that Brahman, isn't it? So every Upanishad is going to teach us and lead us to the kingdom of Brahma Vidya and give us the knowledge of the Brahman. So first is what is the Brahman? That is important to understand. And Brahman is very interesting. You pick up any Upanishad, it will lead you to that only. And this Srirvinda's Upanishad also begins first. Means now we have divided this text into four parts. The first part is the first movement. That movement is about understanding the Brahman. Because the first part of every Upanishad is always important. Look at the Isha Upanishad. The name itself has got the first shloka, first verse of the Isha Upanishad, that Ishopanishad, or some people say Isha Vasya Upanishad or Isha Vasya Upanishad, because the first shloka is Isha Vasya Midam Sarvam Yat Kincha Jagatyam Jagat Tena Tyaktena Bhunjita Magrada Kasya Swit Dhanam. The very opening verse tells you that all belongs to whom? To him. Who is that he? Is he some human being who is having everybody's documents of property? No. This is the Brahman. Brahman is the owner of everything, living, non-living, everything in the world. So, like that, this Upanishad also begins with the concept of Brahman. Before we enter into the Upanishad, again, just some things about Brahman if we want to just understand. Anybody would you like to just tell me something for a layman? What is Brahman?
Superpower.
Okay, Sharda Maji has said it's a superpower. Okay, superpower which is governing what?
Everything.
Everything. Okay, Chitralji says it's everything. So it is a supreme, what we can say, a consciousness that's connecting every living being and every single thing. How can we understand this superpower with our mind? Yes, Rachna wants to add something? Yes, please. Yes, Ji. Is it
Brahman,
about the Brahman?
Brahman is everything.
Yeah.
Everything is contained in Brahman.
Right. Every Brahman is everything, and everything is contained in the Brahman. Sarvam khalvidam brahmasi. Everything is ultimately becoming into the Brahman only. Like so many words are there, Mahavakyas, they all connect us to the Brahman. But now this is the knowledge of everything. Can we get it with our mind only? Can our mind process the knowledge of everything? If it is no, then what's the point of even trying to understand? Isn't it? Mind is limited, that much we know. Though mind is very special and mind is very fast. Mind can travel across the world. Nobody will ask your mind for a document of visa or anything. It can travel. You're sitting right now, it can go to Australia, it can go to USA, anywhere you want in a moment. And mind has so much potential. It is so much, what we can say, uh, like so many capacities are inherent if we access our mental faculties. Great logic, great reason, everything. But yet, many are saying or indicating, at least by their reactions, that the mind is not sufficient to understand the Brahman. Why is that? Why do you think mind? Because mind is so, everybody says it's everything is in the mind. You set your mind to something, you will understand it. But then there is a
Mind is jada.
limitation.
Mind is jada. इसलिए.
Okay, mind is jada because it's connected with the jada sharira, isn't it?
Yes.
But mind is also sukshma also, isn't it, Ji? We cannot see the mind. I had a
Must have
very
a
interesting
you must
conversation.
have the
This
heart and soul to accept it and understand much more deeper.
okay, so mind plus heart plus soul. But the question is, where is all of this? Is the big question if we try to logically identify it. This is where logic falls. Where is the mind? I remember in a group, this question had started. I had just joined one group. I thought it will be a interesting group for someone. There were many people from different faculties. Some many were from the medical faculty. So the first question was, where is the mind? Is it the mind? Is the mind in the brain? Neurologists say yes, neurons are there, so it is in the brain. What about heart? There are neurons in the heart also. Is a cardiac nervous system there? Then is the mind there? Then somebody says no. If little kids will tell you mind is in the stomach only. You know that food is food time has come. Immediately you will see crankiness manifest. The gastroenterologist will say yes. There is an enteric nervous system. But again, these are all limits of our logic. There is something which is beyond the mind, and that is that Brahman. So, but the mind is not useless. The Vedantic rishis also understood this. If you see the Bhagavad Gita, we see a beautiful sopana. We see a ladder of consciousness. First is the lowermost, which we call the most sthula, which is the Indriyas. Indriyanam paranyahur param manaha manasastu para buddhe yo buddhe paratastu saha. Saha is what? Saha is that. That means the Brahman. The Gita also tells the highest is that. But directly you see a student who is learning ABCD cannot go for a PhD exam, isn't it? Directly. There is a system of rising in consciousness. It is something like that. First level is the level of the Indriyas, level of the senses. As one participant Chitral Maji said, it is Jada. It is what we can say very, you can say last, mind can change, but body changes last, no? The last place of transformation. Mentally, I want to lose 10 kilos immediately. Yes. But body is not supporting me at all. I'm not losing 10 grams and getting frustrated because this is the last place of transformation. So again, we're not discarding even the indriyas. Indriyas are important. Krishna also says just because the body is something which is lowermost, you cannot forget it. In the level of consciousness, it also is important. It body is important because Krishna says in the Gita, Idam Shariram Kaunteya, in the 13th adhyaya of the Bhagavad Gita, where he talks about the Kshetra, he calls your body the Kshetra. If you see the motto of the aims is Shariram Adyam Khalu Dharma Sadhanam. It's like your first duty is towards the body because body is going to be an instrument. Body is going to be an instrument for transformation. So body has to be taken care of. But understand that if you just get lost in the senses of the body or the sensual pleasures, you're going to be lost. You will not realize anything higher. For somebody who is drunk, what is the highest consciousness? You tell him what is Brahman, he'll say, for me, Brahman is continuous supply of alcohol. Nothing beyond that, because that is all the mind can travel to. For that person's understanding will not be beyond the senses. But that will have its side effects, and later that person's body falls apart. But so there is something higher which tells us Indriyas to control. Control. Most of the time, the desires take us away. So there is something. There is a Indra for the Indriyas, and that Indra can be called the Mana. Indra is the Adipati or the Deva. So for our Sharira, we can have the mind as the next step. But then again, don't think your mind is too good because suddenly some people start have a gifted mind. They believe I can manage and calculate everything. I can, what we can say, identify the entire way the universe is going to go, how it was, how it is. It's actually a falsehood. It's not possible. Mind is limited. But there are levels of consciousness. There are moments which people must have experienced. We must have experienced. We call sometimes different names. We call it gut feeling. We call it intuition. Once Dr. Atulji had shared about extrasensory perceptions. Whatever it is, some people are very open to the occult dreams, so they receive quickly. Some people do not. But whatever it is, there is a level of consciousness which is higher than the mind. Sri Aurobindo had written a beautiful sopana. So many, he had described so many levels about there is something called higher mind, there's something called illumined mind, there's something called over mind, intuitive mind, super mind. Ultimately, you feel like saying don't mind only because it's becoming too much. So much, so much. And I did try to once sit down and write down the architecture of each of these. I wrote a book. I would not say I wrote a book, I almost wrote a book. It went to mini book only, 70 to 80 pages. And then I did the wisest thing by pressing the delete button. Because after all these paper pages that I wrote, because it was all my logic trying to conform as to what I understood. But I understood this is something which is beyond my own understanding. So then time has to come. When the time comes, that may come ahead. But this is the next level. But higher than that also is the Brahman. That is why the Brahman has to be sought. That is why the Upanishads employ different tactics. If you see the Mandukya Upanishad, it asks you to meditate upon Om. Om iti etad aksharamidam sarvam tasyopa vyakhyanam. Om is everything. Bhutam bhavat bhavishyat iti sarvam omkaram eva. Everything is Om. Logically, you see, you will not understand anything. What is this? This person is not telling anything. It's only talking about Om. But if you see, if you break it, it will say, and then there's a fourth part also. Shantam Shivam Advaitam Chaturtham Manyante Sa Atma Sa Vigneya. This is even beyond the three parts of U and Ma. So this is one tactic of the Upanishad. Kathopanishad uses the dialogue between Yama and Nachiketas. Yama is death. Everybody is afraid of death, and here is one boy who is fearlessly having a samvad with death. And their death is trying to bribe a young boy, saying, don't go to the Brahman. I will give you a very long life. I'll give you the longest life possible for human beings. He says, I will ensure 10 generations after you will live full lifespans of 100 plus years. You will have property, as much property as is possible in the world to grasp. And yet, Nachiketas says this bribing won't work. Even says you will get the most beautiful wives, even the bravest of men will not be able to earn that also. He trails in, but Nachiketa says, no, what's going to happen? Afterwards, sometime you are going to come. When I see your face, what's going to happen to all this property that I am holding? It's going to disappear and not going to matter. Then Yama also smiles and says, yes, it was a test. It was a test. There is something called Shreyas, there's something called Preyas. So, what is desirable and what is right? There's a difference. You don't have to run after the desires always. Because each one is showing their way. So why do they do that? Means one more Upanishad says it's not outside, it's not inside only, it is inside and outside also. It's moving also, not moving also. Tad dure tad vantike, tad antarasya tad bahyasya. Something like somebody who is from the Department of Physics will say, oh, this is like Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. Immediately, logically, it looks exactly the same. You can't tell with exact precision where it is exactly. Well, every Upanishad is like making the person stretch the mind, using the mind as a springboard to jump into the higher consciousness and enter into the kingdom of Brahma Vidya. So many times it is required that this is a diksha of Guru is required, or a complete surrender to the divine to understand. So this aspect of beginning the Upanishad without Shraddha, 1 second, there is some background. Yeah, so there is, if you see, one of the basic conditions, that is why it is said, without Guru, you cannot study Upanishad. It's not like it's just a rigid, you can say, point which is blocking you from the Brahma Vedya. Meaning, what comes with Guru, you have Shraddha for the Guru. The surrender comes in. Unless you surrender without Shraddha, you cannot. Somebody will say, what does Shraddha have to do with this? Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. Krishna has also told, without Shraddha, even knowledge will not come to you. And here we are seeking the highest possible knowledge, which is the greatest, the most beautiful knowledge that a human being can understand. That is what distinguishes human beings from all other creatures on this world. We are capable of receiving that knowledge, we are capable of utilizing that knowledge to even transform, not only destroy the world. So, this knowledge is that Brahman, and that is why, means when somebody had asked, I think it was a senior sadhak. It was Anil Baran Roy way back on 27th May of 1926. He had asked Sri Aurobindo, what is this supermind, the sadhana of supermind he was doing? You are trying to manifest this consciousness. I don't have the slightest clue, is what he had told. That time, Sri Aurobindo had said, is what is required is faith. Man has body, life, and mind, but that is not all that constitutes man. He has risen to the mind as a result of evolution. Now a higher consciousness will be evolved. This I call supermind. It is the instrument of the divine consciousness, the truth consciousness. This is what Sri Aurobindo talked about. That is the knowledge. That is the knowledge of the Brahman, and that is said to be the highest knowledge. That is the Rajavidya. Nahi jnanena sadrusham pavitram na vidyate. That is the knowledge that will free you. That is the knowledge which will help you bring about the liberation of the world also. You can, spread that. That was what Sri Aurobindo talked about. So with this small introduction, let us enter into what is the first part of Sri Aurobindo's Upanishad. We have just called it the principle of Brahmic consciousness that is being established here. I'll read out. We'll also break that into two parts because there are a lot of verses in it, a lot of lines in it. So first part of this would be I'll just read out in Sanskrit, then we look at the English poetry of it, and then we'll try to discuss a bit on it, and then again go to the second part. All right. And you are all free to anytime interrupt me or ask me. I would not say interrupt. You can just ask me to stop directly only and tell me if you have something to ask, share, or add. Either ways. So let us begin. Om Ekameva Dvitiyam Brahma Sadasarupam Sadasaratitam Nanya Kinchidaste Trikaladhrutam Trikalatitam Va Sarvam Tu Khalu Brahmaikam यत्किञ्च जगत्यामणु वामहद्वोदारं वानुदारं वा Brahmaiva tad Brahmaiva Jagadapi Brahma Satyam Namethya Saiva Parat Paraha Purusha Srikalatitaha Sakala Bhuvanatitaha Sakala Bhuvana Pravishtaha Sadatitu Sadititaha Sanmayashchinmaya Anandamaya Nadyantaha Sanatano Bhagavan. Om. He is the Brahman, the singular, non-dual one, in all the forms that persist, and also in those that do not exist. He is beyond the existent, transcending even the nascent. Nothing else ever existed or can without him be in the past, present, or future in the worlds three. Every creation, whether high or low in stature, wide or narrow, micro or macroscopic in nature, all is He and He is one, the singular Brahman. He is the truth, the highest that can be attained. In His creation, too, the same truth is contained. This is the Brahman's truth supreme, which is not false, even in the mortal realm, beyond all three times, eternal and transcendent. He is the divine, omniscient, and omnipresent. He is the embodiment of truth consciousness, spread across the universe's vastness, a bliss of pure ecstasy without end or beginning. He is the ancient, divine, all pervading. To him, no qualities can be attributed, and yet within him, all qualities are constituted. So, this is where we just look at it probably once more and then we can probably open up to discussion on this. Is that okay? Yes. All right. So, Om, he is the Brahman, the singular, non dual one, in all the forms that persist and also in those that do not exist. He is beyond the existent, transcending even the nascent. Nothing else ever existed or can without him be in the past, present, or future in the worlds three. Every creation, whether high or low in stature, wide or narrow, micro or macroscopic in nature, all is He, and He is one, the singular Brahman. He is the truth, the highest that can be attained. In this creation, too, the same truth is contained. This is the Brahman's truth supreme, which is not false, even in the mortal realm. Beyond all three times, eternal and transcendent, He is the divine, omniscient, and omnipresent. He is the embodiment of truth consciousness, spread across the universe's vastness, a bliss of pure ecstasy without end or beginning. He is the ancient, divine, all pervading. To him, no qualities can be attributed, and yet within him, all qualities are constituted. And the beautiful aspect of any of these Vedantic scriptures or the Upanishad or the Gita is you get lots of references when you look at a few words. Means this can only be expounded, what people call commentaries are made because that allows us to go in different facets of that same words. Now, if you see here, Sri Aurobindo begins with Om. He is the Brahman, meaning connecting to that supreme divine. This Brahman can also be the Purusha of the Puranas, the Purusha of the Bhagavad Gita, or the Purusha of the Purusha Sukta also. And this Purusha is not just the Purusha, which is we use in the regional languages, Purusha and Stri. This is the Purusha which is beyond these genders also. That way, all human beings are or Stri only in Prakriti Bhava. If you look at it, we are all Prakriti. And there is only one, which is the creator and then the manifesting spirit. So it starts with this that there is this Brahman, The Upanishad's first part begins with a very metaphysical aspect of Brahman being introduced to everyone. Where is this Brahman? This Brahman is everywhere, and in all the forms that persist. And what about those which we do not know? That which have not yet manifest, or that which is unmanifest. There is also a lot of things are not yet manifest, which we call avyakta. In the Bhagavad Gita also we use that word is seen. Sri Krishna talking about it. So this which is not manifest also is still having an ansha of that Brahman only. And that Brahman is transcending. Transcending what? All limitations, all boundaries. Then nothing else ever existed or can exist without him. Means Brahman is that core fundamental aspect. Like for all of us, we say pran vayu is important, isn't it? The moment pran vayu is gone, we say gata pran. What happens to my poetry? What happens to my thought? What happens to my dreams? They are of no use. If as long as pran vayu is there, then only I exist. That pran sancharan is going to take place. That is keeping me alive. But the very fact that is keeping me alive is something which is not in my control. It's involuntary. Well, it is something like that. That is the essence. The essence of everything is Brahman. Every creature, high or low, microscopic or macroscopic, all is only he and he is only one. That is the singular Brahman, the highest truth that can be attained. And this is a beautiful part where you see, first he talks about Mahadvodaram Vanudaram Va Brahmaiva Tad Brahmaiva, that is only Brahma. And then comes Jagadapi Brahma Satyam Na Mithya, meaning in this Jagat, also this Brahman's consciousness is there. This is something which people sometimes disagree. They say, no, God is not there in this universe, or the Supreme Tattva is not present. Many try to say, or it is just that which is inert and will never take part actively. But if that was the case, why would Krishna give the Gita Gyan to Arjuna and then ask him to do action in the material world? Why did Krishna say in the Gita, Ihaiva? And again, why I am always using Krishna is not just because of my bias towards Krishna, that is there, but in this Upanishad also, Krishna's entry is there. Sri Aurobindo has invoked Krishna. He has introduced something called the Krida of Krishna, which is different from the Maya of the Sansara. There are two concepts. So here, in this Srishti, which has so many factors, in that also this Brahman is present. That is what Sri Aurobindo has said. He is the embodiment of truth consciousness. And if you see, this is what in the Gita, there's a word called Sat. Sat is that highest consciousness. But in the Rig Veda, it is Sat accompanied with Chit and Ananda. Satchidananda. So this Brahman, understanding the Brahman will lead us to that ecstasy of Ananda, which is there everywhere. And one more aspect is to him no qualities can be attributed, and yet within him all qualities are constituted. Now, before we move in, so what is this knowledge of Brahman? How can we look at it practically? What can we draw from it? Because it's important to have a practical connect. Otherwise, there's a very interesting story of one Shishya who learned Aham Brahmasmi in the classroom and then went and we had a lot of fun because he thought I am Brahman now because my teacher told me I am Brahman. So that we look at it. I think somebody wants to add something. Yes, please. Please feel free to unmute if anybody wishes to add something. And let us have an interactive session. Yes, please. Anybody?
You should always be conscious that there's some supreme power around us
Okay.
or inside us. Whatever you
Hmm.
do, wherever you go, whatever, matlab ki means what in
Any
any part
action.
you're
Means, but
cooking, was a
okay.
teaching, traveling, or whatever, uh,
Okay. Yes,
seeing a
ma'am.
always remember.
But not only in the even in the not so powerful people or not so powerful moments also. Only in the brilliant moments or in big and small, at all moments.
I'm saying in all the moments. Even we are seeing
All
a movie,
moments.
so you will see that some power is inside us and around us also, watching us
Okay.
like
All right.
a
See, yes, see.
like a shield around us, something
Okay.
there.
Oh, shield. All right. That is interesting.
Or
So it,
consciously you should do whatever you are doing.
okay. All right. Yes, Sitaji has said it is probably this kind of, probably when we focus on this, it might actually bring us, I think, how Sitaji talked about a shield of what? A shield of protection, maybe. A shield of comfort. Suddenly you feel quiet when you realize, ki, yes, there is a consciousness connecting everything, something beyond. That is something which is interesting. All right. Yes. Anybody else would like to add some more to what Sita ji has shared? This aspect of the Brahman before we quickly go inside further. Yes, please. Anybody?
Um, I don't know if it's relevant or not, but I think Brahman is not something that you just feel, understand with your mind. Moving
Okay.
forward, you've got to feel it
You
in
have to
your
become
being.
one with it.
Yes, that's right, because the human body is not the only thing that can feel it. There
But
are
can
other
should
layers.
the human body be vestigial in the purpose of the Brahman?
Sorry, I didn't get that.
Is the human body just a vestigial organ if in the quest of the Brahman? When you say no, they
No,
dismiss.
we have to we have more layers on top of this human body, and the idea
Yes.
is to connect with those, and with that we'll understand
Yeah.
what the Brahman is. If the human body is only there to, I don't know, it's like a bulb you connect, and the rest of it, the other
Okay.
layers, we have to
Right.
attain wisdom through the other layers.
Yes. All right. So that is an interesting point. But what do you think? The physical cells and everything, they can also become conscious? The physical body?
They already are, I believe. If we
Are we fully conscious that way? We are not, isn't
no,
it?
no, it's like short circuit, if you pardon the
Okay.
expression.
All right.
We need
Yeah.
to switch them on.
All right, all right. Yes, see. So, all right. This is one thing interesting because in Sri Aurobindo's yoga also, which is this truth is there in this material world also, as even in the Gita. Ihaiva. Here itself, Krishna says, Ihaiva terjita sargo. So, yes, Rachna ji wants to add something? Yes, ma'am.
Say the like the talking about the connection between Brahman and the individual consciousness, we can think of it as wood. Say, for example, practically, if you
Yeah.
think, there might be many forms in the
Okay.
wood, like a table, a chair, we can make a door or a window or whatever. So, but they are all, the basic is wood. It doesn't, we are not connected to the Brahman, we are, but we are forms.
Okay.
We are just various forms. And say the chair, we can't say the just only, we can always say that wood is, it is the chair. Then it
Hmm.
takes the form of a table. It can take the form of anything. So we are all different emanations from the same.
But we are one. And that one
That,
is that
that
supreme oneness, isn't it?
it
Ekam
is the
eva
material.
dvitiyam.
It is the
Yes.
material. We are
Ah.
made of that material.
Okay. So we are made of that super conscious material or the Brahman. We can say Ekam Eva Dvitiyam Brahma is how this begins. So we are all that. Okay. Yes. Yes, Rachna ji. So one interesting aspect is the qualities, means from the qualities have originated from the Brahman or the gunas. In the Bhagavad Gita, you see there are three gunas, Rajas, Tamas, Sattva. They're all being created by Prakriti. Prakriti is what? Again, the counterpart of the Purusha, of the divine. And if you see these qualities only sometimes are the reason why we get trapped in Maya also. There are limitations of those qualities. Means Devi Yesha Gunamayir Maya Duratteya Mameva Ye Prapadyante Maya Metam Tarantite. That illusion of Maya is there Because of that illusion, meaning we don't realize, we run after certain desires and then suddenly we get disappointed and we start rejecting everything because we did not receive it. But that rejectionism also is not the right way to approach the Brahman, because this Brahman is also present in this world. This world has everything. There is Vikar also, there is brilliance also, there is Chetana also, there is Jadatva also, everything but this Brahman is present. So this is what is means in the very start itself, Sri Aurobindo is throwing a very strong aspect of the Brahman being present in the physical. The mother of Sri Aurobindo Ashram had talked about how each and every cell can become conscious. Each and every cell can. If you see, players have something like who keep regularly playing, right? And suddenly they go out of the game and they again enter, say, a badminton player enters onto the court, the body starts moving on its own even though it has not played so long. What is that? That's like a cell memory. It is how it automatically just enters. It's something like that. That way, each and every organ, each and every aspect of our living can become conscious. And this is something which the philosophy of Sri Aurobindo also, the Purna Yoga. But that's actually an ideal. This is something for us. It appears as far away as being able to get Divya Drushti with that which Arjuna got. Dr. Atulji wants to say something, sir? Yes,
Can
sir.
we say that he is omnipresent?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sri Aurobindo also has said that omnipresence is one of the qualities of the Brahman here. Now, this aspect of the Brahman becoming conscious of the Brahman is possible to every single one of us if we try, and we have to at least recognize the possibility. Because and again, we need to have that Shraddha. Sri Aurobindo's yoga is about physical transformation, supramental manifestation, transformation of the matter also. Somebody says this is never thought of, cannot be, it is just a fantasy. Well, come to the south, you will see Ramalinga Swamigal or Vallalar. Anybody has heard of him? He had talked about something similar. It was a little earlier. Arut Perun Jyoti or something, where it is about dematerialization. He became into light. That was something which the Britishers who they did not understand. They had sent somebody over because that was the day he was going to dematerialize. Nobody knew he was going to do that, but he had gone into a particular room, and the Britishers were very happy to dismiss. They just wanted to just say that these are all superstitions. Look at all these people. The entire village has come. All of them are going to be declared fools today because he is going to go into a room. There is no exit out of that room, no tunnel or anything else from there, and this great yogi just dematerialized. Even now, it is very impossible to understand. And I am telling you of this example because I myself went and sat 2 hours outside thinking which is the way would have gone out. And no, and it's written there. It is written there. It is written also by that same officer who had come to disprove everything. Somebody went in, but nobody came out. We don't know what happened after that. Well, this is the beauty. This is something which has to be probed, which will be possible when we realize. Like now, it looks crazy, just like how Divya Drishti that Sanjay received in the Gita. If you say a news reporter is reporting, you can say, "Oh, yeah, live coverage. I can understand that," but I can't understand this Sanjay reporting. But if somebody had gone to Sanjay and told you will not believe people across the world will be just at the comforts of their home during dinner time simply talking to strangers sitting far away. Sanjay would have told us then, you can't say that, it's not possible. But that time he didn't know that there are these devices which will work probably. He may not have understood, or maybe he might have agreed. Whatever it is, that methodology is not yet established. But this much let us understand, if we are entering into Sri Aurobindo's yoga, we must never dismiss the material, because material is a important base for the transformation. So with this, if somebody has something to ask or share, you're welcome, or we go into the next part. Yes, please. Anybody? No?
Just the electricity current, we
Okay.
have. You cannot see the current. We cannot see the electricity, but it's connected AC. Everything is connected. So
Ah, yeah.
AC, fridge, the tube light, fan, even the mobiles, everything. We can, even if we
Yes.
switch it off, also it's behind it.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And there's something interesting. So electricity is also other forms of energy. It is connected to it. Electricity becomes light. Electricity is connected with again magnetism also. Again, in magnetism also there's something interesting where ordinary magnets become super magnets. It's like a
So that
sudden flow of consciousness enters, and then what is possible? Well, levitation and whatnot.
the other
These
day
are
I
all possible.
said the
Yeah.
same example with my kids. That's why it came to my mind actually. They were telling
All
about
right.
God. Can you see them? Those I
Yeah.
said this example with the
So
children.
the eye is required. In the Gita also Krishna talks about. It's not like a physical eye that some ophthalmologist will come and do an operation in. It's not something like that. It is the eye. We were discussing in a children's workshop, and one young girl in I think ninth class or 10th class, she suddenly said, "Oh wow, what a beautiful world it is! What a beautiful universe is inside of my body." She was suddenly overwhelmed as if she got a Vishwarup darshan of her own self. She was thinking, see, there are so many things. You could have just seen the face. No, it was as if she has got a great joy in just recognizing that inside of my body, there is such a universe. It was like a discovery for her. And that is something which Sri Aurobindo is also, that way invited all of us to experience this brilliance of the human life. So let us continue. स निर्गुणो गुणान् धत्ते सुगुणो अनंत गुणो निर्गुणत्वं भुङ्क्ते. Means this is the beautiful aspect. We just saw about qualities, isn't it? So many qualities have originated from the divine. If you see, what is the meaning of qualities? Anybody? Qualities originated from the divine. How do we connect? Because quality is something which is very concrete. Divine is something is more people call it abstract, though it's not abstract. To the mind, at least, it looks abstract. We're not able to see, but qualities can be can be perceived, isn't it? Anybody knows the connection of the qualities with the divine? Anyone? Is there one?
There has to be, because we are reflections of him. So
Okay.
there is bound to be all the qualities, good and bad, because everything is him or
Okay.
her. Therefore,
All right. All right. Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. It's like these qualities allow us to connect with the divine also sometimes. Yeah, we see the Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Shakti Rupena Sanstita, Shanti Rupena Sanstita. If you see, when you see somebody very calm, quiet, and peaceful, you can see how this person is divine. In the face of extreme opposition, in the face of extreme hardship, this person is able to experience a poise, an inner poise. Immediately you can say, yes, this is this person, this is what Sthita Prajna means. Not getting carried away, not getting disturbed. So, something like that, this divine is a possessor of so many qualities, and yet he is not limited by the qualities, he is beyond all of them. So, let us continue. सनिर्गुणो गुणान् धत्ते सुगुणो अनन्तगुणो निर्गुणत्वं भुङ्क्ते स्वयं चातिवर्तते निर्गुणत्वं च सुगुणत्वं च न निर्गुणो न गुणी केवल एव यः स भुवनातीतो भुवनानि धारयति भुवनभूतो भुवनानि प्रविशति कालातीतः कालो भवत्यनन्तः शान्तः प्रकाशत एको बहवो रूपो रूपी विद्या विद्यामय्या चित्शक्त्या स्वयं तु न धर्ता न धार्यो नानन्तः न शान्तो नैको न बहुर्नारूपो न रूपी केवल एव यः सर्वाणि त्वेतानि नामानि यदेकत्वं च बहुत्वं चानन्दं च शान्तं च प्रकाशन्त एव चिदात्मनि चिन्मये जगति. So these qualities, the next part, Aurobindo describes it. He says, Despite holding qualities immeasurable and countless, he enjoys the experience of being qualityless. It is himself that he transcends, and beyond the limits of qualities he extends, neither devoid nor possessing any qualities in particular. This is his nature, divine and singular. The universe, with all the worlds in his manifestations, the universe with all the worlds is his manifestation, and he forays into his own worldly creation. Though he is time's constant component, transgressing time, he is also its proponent. His opulence radiates from the infinite. His one second. His, uh, his opulence radiates from the infinite and projects into the material finite. The formless one who to varied forms conforms, ignorance and knowledge are but his two forms. He is neither the bearer nor is the bone, neither infinite nor finite. He is the unknown, the formed one who holds forms none, not singular, not plural, and yet the one, the finite, the infinite, the one, and the diversiform are all but multifarious names of his universal form, of consciousness and spirit that illuminates the entire world with the consciousness it generates. For such is its conscious luminance that in its created world too reflects its brilliance. Just once more, we look at it and then again we'll have a small discussion on it. Despite holding qualities immeasurable and countless, he enjoys the experience of being qualityless. It is himself that he transcends, and beyond the limits of qualities he extends, neither devoid nor possessing any qualities in particular. This is his nature, divine and singular. The universe, with all the worlds, is his manifestation, and he forays into his own worldly creation. Though he is time's constant component, transgressing time, he is also its proponent. His opulence radiates from the infinite and projects into the material finite. The formless one who to varied forms conforms, ignorance and knowledge are but his two forms. He is neither the bearer nor is he the bone, neither infinite nor finite. He is the unknown, the formed one who holds forms none, not singular, not plural, and yet the one, the finite, the infinite, the one and the diversiform. All are but the multifarious names of his universal form of consciousness and spirit that illuminates the entire world with the consciousness it generates. For such is its conscious luminance that in the created world too reflects its brilliance. So, this is about the qualities. Now, it's very interesting if you look at it just by looking at the description. If you say adjectives attributed to the Brahman, each of these adjectives sometimes appears contradictory also. One also, many also, so many qualities, yet qualityless. What is the meaning? Why is this being done? Anybody? He is not singular, he is not plural, but he is the one. He is the form that is, yet he is having no form of him, his own. He's holding all the forms also. All are originating from him.
You cannot explain in one word for that reason.
We cannot explain in one word. But can we explain in many words, Ji?
Many diversity.
Yes, many diversities.
Similarity and also the diversities.
Similarities as well as the diversity. Okay. Yes, Ji. Anybody would like to just add a little bit more?
Unity in diversity.
Okay. Harshaji has said unity in diversity. There's something very similar in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna talks to Arjuna by introducing something very interesting. He suddenly talks about some Ashwatha tree. He calls it an eternal one and he says it is upside down. It is not just an ordinary Ashwatha tree. He says it's upside down, inverted Ashwatha. And he says this inverted Ashwatha is connecting the mortal world to the supramortal one. This tree grows by what we call the different gunas, and that is how it is growing. And what is doing? This tree is also binding everybody through karma bandhanas also. Meaning we are only feeding through our experiences. This tree is it's reaching some sattva, it is receiving through the various gunas of every living being, and yet everybody is bound by it. Then he also says, by your mind, you cannot conceive this. Till now, he is making Arjuna trying to understand it, but he says, you cannot understand this by the mind. So, what is this tactic? All yogis seem to be using this, the Vedantic rishis also. One person had told this, if you can't convince, confuse. Is that what they are trying? Everybody. Or is there some reason behind all of this? Anybody? Why do you think Sri Aurobindo has done this in the very start? But he must have just picked up Sri Aurobindo's Upanishad to read and then, oh, since Namliji had told, my Guruji had told when he was very young, he had picked up the Yoga Vashishta. He was very, very young, a young boy. And what is this? Rama, you are not here. I am not there. Our conversation is also not there. He just closed the book. He said, what is the meaning of this? It doesn't make much sense. That was when very young at a small age, but afterwards, it is the greatest. If you study Yoga Vashishta, you will understand. It has some beautiful higher knowledge there. So, what is Sri Aurobindo doing by giving this to us in the very start? This Brahman only has been just he's like this. Anybody?
He is beyond our comprehension.
Yes, yes, sir. He is beyond our comprehension. But why are we being introduced to whatever we can understand and to understand what is beyond comprehension? Maybe that is one of the ways, is it? Maybe it can stretch our mind, isn't it? When we know the limits, probably with that we can then learn that this is the limit, so what lies beyond the horizon? That must be. In some way we need a guidance. So here Sri Aurobindo is actually inviting us to the kingdom of Brahma Vidya to deliberate on what is this physical presence of this Brahman. If you want to understand it, he says, he first says it is one, not two, but also many. This is very, and it's changing the forms also. This is something which it's very difficult, isn't it, to change forms. I am like this. I know myself. I don't change my form. The very concept of changing form seems alien. Is there any living being that can change forms at will? Yes. I think everybody must have learnt in biology one prokaryotic existence, which would have no form of its own but keeps changing. Yes.
Amoeba.
Yeah, absolutely. Isn't it? Now, that is exactly breaking the mold of living, isn't it? It's changing. It is an existence which means the possibility of changing forms. Even to our logical mind, we cannot deny. Yes, maybe what the prokaryotic can do cannot something which is higher, much higher than what we call eukaryotes also. That supreme divine. Of course, it must have that knowledge. So the possibility of changing of forms, it's not so alien to our understanding. So that's number one. So this Brahman does not specifically belong to this one particular form also. Then next, I think Dr. Atulji talked about is the omnipresence. Means Brahman is present where? Mahadvodaram, Manodaram. Means the big, huge, and also the smallest. You try to compare. What is the similarity between an ant and a blue whale? So tiny, so
They
small,
are,
and
they are, they are, they are living.
they
All
are, yes, they are
living, living.
living, isn't it? They are living. And no matter how much technology we now we say artificial intelligence is going to give us greatest of great capacities, but when the ant has lost its life, can some technology bring back that life into an ant? Forget human being or big organisms. No, isn't it? Because that is something, and that is that Brahman which Sharmindo is talking about. It is there, it's omnipresent, irrespective of you say microscopic existence or macroscopic. Means even it is there in the non-living also. That is also crazy. Somebody would say, what does that mean? The Brahman is there in the non-living. Again, if you look at different metals, if you look at on the level of metallurgy, or you go further deeper, you will see that there is a Chaitanya even in the Jada. Each has a specific pattern, each has a specific form, each has different properties, each have different, its malleability, conductivity, X, Y, Z properties are there. So whether it is living also and non-living is not important for the Brahman, because the Brahman is transcending both life and death as well. So that is another property which Sri Aurobindo is talking about. Then where is this Brahman? Anybody?
In
Yes,
everybody's consciousness.
in everybody's consciousness, everywhere, isn't it? But what about the places where everybody is not there? There also Brahman is there, isn't it? So that is again one more, we can say, breaking of these. Means first is breaking the concept of form. We understand some things about form. First aspect that only is being challenged by the Brahman. What we understand as a form that does not change, well, this is a form which is anything, which can be anything. Then location also, it can be here also. We cannot put a tracker device onto the Brahman and try to identify its location. We will not be able to see it because it is somewhere, it is pervading everything. Now, space also is broken dimension, and the time dimension also is broken by the Brahman, is what Sri Aurobindo talks about. Kala titaha, past, present, future, all three. We are actually living in a continuum. We do not understand that, or we are not conscious. In the Gita also, there's a beautiful dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna, where Krishna tells Arjuna, when Arjuna says is crazy, I don't understand what you say. I don't believe that there was a chance that you passed on this consciousness to the sun, and that sun passed it on to others. He says, I don't believe it. I don't understand it. Why? Because, say, according to my mind, we celebrate your birthday, you were born, there was sunlight. How can you go? Did you have a time machine? Logical mind of Arjuna was not able to understand this aspect of breaking the dimensions of time. And Krishna beautifully said to Arjuna immediately, Arjuna, you too have taken multiple births just like I too have. There's a small difference which makes you Arjuna and makes me Krishna, is that you are unconscious of them. I have become conscious. So this again is another aspect of Brahman, which is breaking the barriers of time also, of Kala also. That is what Sri Aurobindo has talked about. And then if Kala is also crossed, that who is everywhere, who is breaking and warping all the boundaries, form, space, everything. It can transcend times. It can, what we can say, whatever we say, space-time fabric, it can be just, it's torn by whatever we understand. That the Brahman is just beyond all of it. But then, can we say that this Brahman, who is present everywhere, who is understanding every, means present in all three times, present in all locations, can we say that Brahman is ignorant? No, isn't it? You're there, you're witnessing, you're experiencing. That experience will come as it becomes knowledge only, ultimately. And this Brahman has got the knowledge of everything, what we don't know also. That is again another property of the Brahman. So that is not just omnipresent, it's also omniscient. That is one more aspect. And this energy of this Brahman, which is omniscient, has entered where? Entered into this earth. If you see Krishna, Sri Aurobindo is talking about how this has entered this universe also. Into his own creation he has forayed, and that is illumining the world. That consciousness means in the material you can see the luminance of the divine. This is a very interesting statement. We'll probably look at this and conclude today's session after a small interaction if anybody wants to. Because this is an important aspect. Means again, Sri Aurobindo is bringing our eyes back into the world because it's so easy, isn't it? To connect with the higher consciousness and ignore all the. I would love to go to the Himalayas, sit and meditate because it's easy, nice, fun. But if you give me a choice, I'll not want to interact with people unnecessarily for, now in the village we have to say, hey, why did you do this work? Why didn't you do it? I told you to do it properly. Why have you not manufactured? Factory, we have to continuously talk to our staff. Morning, afternoon, evening, we have to keep doing japa of the same thing. And this japa does not give any phala also. No Falashruti for this mantra repetition. For years and years, you keep saying same thing. Instead, why not go to do some sadhana elsewhere? No. In this world only, Sri Aurobindo is bringing us back into this world. He says, see, in this world, you can identify the luminance of that Brahman. This is very much in accordance with also what Krishna told in the Gita as well. Before the Vishwarupa Darshana, there was the Vibhuti Darshana. In the world, Arjuna also was interested in knowing, let me understand where can I recognize your divinity? Where? Then Krishna says, different places. Here, this is my divinity. In the beautiful mountains, in the Meru, that is me among the birds, and this bird of is what we can say, Krishna's Vahan only. That is me. I am the Makar. I am everywhere. Now, this aspect of recognizing the divinity in the world is something which is very important, without which a complete knowledge of the divine cannot be got. Vasudevam Sarvamiti, the Bhagavad Gita talks about that realization must be got. If somebody says this is not there in the Upanishads, yes, it is there in the Upanishad. Look at the Isha Upanishad also. Yatte Kalyantamam Tatte Pashyami. Let me recognize that which is brilliant. Let me recognize the divinity in the world. And then comes the realization of Soham Asmi. Until this realization is got, the highest realization will, in its complete Purnatva, will not be got. So this is the interesting aspect. So the first part of the movement of Sri Aurobindo's Upanishad is about the introduction to a Brahman, a concept of the Brahman. And the second is about the existence of that Brahman in the material world, in this Bhuloka itself. That means we are not going to get a chance. A lot of people say, no, enough. I want moksha. I'm not going to come back to this earth. I don't want to do anything. I don't know if you can get moksha that easily, like you go to a hotel and order on the menu. It will not come so easily. But here, there were great, poets also, or great awakened seers who said, enough, I don't need that moksha. I don't want to, if moksha is, I don't want to leave this place. I want to come and serve again and again. तुका म्हणे आमासी सुखे घालावे गर्भवासी. Tukaram had said that give me another birth. Why? Because I want to serve the divine. I want to do the work of the divine. Sri Aurobindo in his hymn to Durga says, Mother, come birth after birth, we come to perform your bidding again and again, because this is the job, this is the task. Krishna also does not want Arjuna to suddenly open a retreat center. No, he does not want him to retreat from the Yuddha. Otherwise, Krishna would have, Arjuna would say, I have got certification of Krishna myself now. This is the best retreat center. All of you retreat from life. Go, come, let's go and just connect with the Brahman without having to take part in the Yuddha. That would be very nice, actually, but unfortunately or fortunately, that is not the way of the world. The way of the world is the world of resistance, where it has to be. Sadhana is not something which is going to be so easy. There is going to be tapasya. Tapasya means fire. Fire is going to come from friction only, and that tapa will only allow us to bring about that transformation. So for that, we have to recognize this world as an active field of play of the divine. We must be ready to recognize that, and that is what Sri Aurobindo's Vedanta is also beginning with. Introducing the Brahman, but again connecting us to the world. So with this, the first moment is complete. If anybody wishes to ask or share something, you wish to add something, you are welcome. Else we can ask, I'll request somebody to do a summary and we conclude. Yes, please. Anybody? If you have no questions, then we can very well conclude today's session. Can someone just give a brief summary of something that we saw? Some take-home points. With that, we conclude. Anything? Anybody? Yes, Ji?
About the introduction of Brahman today, what is Brahman actually? We discussed. Then existence of Brahman, what there's nothing without him also, and there's the truth, and with him also. The truth, the divine, the one and only, all, everything, there's Brahman, the omnipresent, the ancient, the present, the infinite, the finite, the conscious, it's also luminous, despite of having qualities which is infinite also. Everything means this Brahman. It connects us to the world, the inner world, the outer world.
Okay. Yes, Sita Lakshmi Ji. Anybody would like to add anything else to what Madam has shared? Yes, anybody? All right, then. In that case, we conclude with the Shanti Mantra. Hari Om. सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् तत्सत् कृष्ण वन्दे जगत् Namaste. So again, next session will be on Monday. Our sessions will be on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Weekends off. Yes, please. All right. Namaste.
Hari Om Ji.
Namaste. Ji. Hari Om. Yeah.